Hello, everybody. Welcome in. It is great to have you. We're going to get right into the interview here. And I just wanted to say really quickly before we start, you guys are the reason that I'm able to do something like this. This is one of the most surreal moments for me over the past year, and I really appreciate all of you in particular for getting me here. We just hit 1,500 subscribers. I don't want to push anything right at the moment. I just want to say thank you so much. I appreciate you. So let's get right into the interview with Matt and Hunter from Space Cats Peace Turtles. All right.
Okay, hello.
Hello, welcome to the Cardboard Crash Course. My name is Ethan, and I'd love to welcome a couple special guests today. Would you mind introducing yourself?
Hardly. Hi, I'm Matt. I'm Matt from Space Cats Peace Turtles.
Hi, and I am special. I am your special guest, Donaldson.
This is they have a podcast for Twilight Imperium and a couple of other things. Would you mind telling us a little bit about your presence online?
Sure. So we started out as a podcast, a weekly show talking about all things Twilight Imperium, and 5 years later, we're still doing it.
Oops, I'm sorry. No. No, just keep going.
So I got
it. I got it.
So podcast talking about strategy, community, everything else, and then eventually we branched into more things. Hunter maybe can talk about sort of the video side of what that
branching.
Became. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we branched pretty hard at one point into turning Twilight Imperium into an esport. It was an experiment, a financial and creative endeavor, and I declare it a successful failure for the most part, in that it doesn't appear to be an esport, but we are pretending that it is, and we will not stop. And you cannot stop us from pretending that it is in fact an esport.
Can I participate in it like I would fantasy football?
Yeah, well, not only there is a fantasy football side of it. There are people that do fantasy leagues for our tournament, and I would say that's the most unhinged way to engage with the tournament. You can play in the tournament, you can watch the tournament, and the fantasy league predicts winningest factions, basically. So you can even try to vie for factions to do well within the tournament, and that is another great way to engage with the tournament if you don't care about actually watching every game and you just need the stats, baby.
Yeah, we're trying to get gambling in there.
So
we're working on gambling,
making money off of just the fantasy part of it.
Yes.
Well, it is great to have you both on the show. I've been watching you both. You said you've been around for about 5 years. I've been watching you since mid-2018, around one of your many agenda card guides, I believe.
Oh, dear. Yeah,
so, yeah.
I bet that episode was bad.
First round strategies was like not long after I got into it. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's
early.
It's good to have you. I just have a couple of simple questions to get us sort of warmed up and started off as well. When do you think you had like your first interest in the board gaming community? And this can be before Twilight Imperium. This could be anything that my viewers might be interested in.
Hunter's done more than I had. Was doing it before I was. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, but if the question is specifically about community, I didn't even really know that there was a community, is what I would like to say. Before we started the show, I didn't really even fully understand Matt, I feel like you were actually kind of ahead of the curve in that way. Like, the idea that there was even a subreddit for Twilight Imperium was kind of mind-blowing to me. In a weird way, I think that early on, we had a misconception that perhaps Twilight Imperium was this like secret thing that only we knew about kind of deal. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, sure.
It was maybe kind of popular. We'd heard Shut Up and Sit Down talk about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that meant that there were like a bunch of people out there in the world that were interested in it.
Before that, broader video games, or I mean board games wise, you were playing a fair amount of Risk, like in high school, that I barely dabbled in, and then we both got into Axis and Allies a bit. I would say I leaned more on the Axis and Allies in college side, and then it was the thirst for something more that caused us to like start looking for other board games like Axis and Allies. And I mean, my memory is that
a lot of those
you and our
4X
friend
games.
Sean found like a Dice Tower review of Twilight Imperium that was like the first time.
Oh yeah.
Like, ooh, what's this crazy thing? And sort of teased that. But I think we both started in the Risk Axis Allies to Twilight Imperium sort of trajectory.
Yeah. We saw that Tom Vassell guy dump all the stuff on the floor, and we were like, I'm in love, you know? I gotta have this, you know?
I think he even gave it his little approval note.
Little gavel.
Ooh.
Yeah. Yep. So that would have been the 3rd edition of the game then?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have fonder memories of the 3rd edition than you do the 4th, do you believe?
Yeah, 4th edition blows. 3rd edition was like when it was good. Like, everyone getting on board.
4th edition, we instantly turned it into our jobs, basically.
Yeah, I don't know.
And in 3rd edition, it was still this mystique, and we still got to be really stupid. The thing about heavily engaging with an online community is at some point you lose at least a little bit of permission to be like completely stupid about it, right? We got to think we were good at 3rd edition, but we were playing with like a total of 8 people, and so actually all of our assumptions were like very easy to prove wrong if you did like any amount of Googling or whatever, or surfing around Board Game Geek.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we got to be stupid in 3rd edition, and I think in that way it was way more thematic to us.
Yeah.
And then we started the show alongside the announcement of 4th edition, which meant it always was more like strategically engaged.
Professional sort of, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely feel that like becoming a content creator for Twilight Imperium as well. Obviously, I don't have the outreach that you both do at the moment, but being able to sort of analytically look at it have kind of turned my friends against me when it comes to actually coming down and playing the game.
Right.
Do you feel like when you sit down and actually play the game that other people sort of had this expectation that you're automatically going to be better?
Yeah. Well, so the worst part of all of this is every year we make a point to play a game with our old posse.
Right.
Our best of friends that we've always played the game with. And what stinks is what we've learned is the last 3 years that stopped being any fun because we think of the game in such a different way, but they still play that stupid game that we used to play. But we see all of their stupid assumptions, and we're just like, if you played this way, it would actually be a much richer experience. And you would understand. And some of them literally just do things to troll us and mess with us. And it's like, it has gotten harder to find a way to make sure when we play with like our best friends that it is like still an even footing thing.
Yeah. I just don't want to play with them anymore, to be honest. I don't really like them very much, but I do like playing with my new friends that I found, you know, doing the show and stuff. So, I mean, I think that yeah, maybe if I'm just like playing out in the wild or playing it with people that I don't know, there definitely can be a little bit of like heat or special attention paid to everything that I'm saying, which I find is a little bit interesting, and it's caused me to sometimes I get called out on chat for like not actually talking to the other players that much, and I think that's like something that I have like kind of evolved to do, because I know that every time I say anything to the other players, they hear it with like, I would say maybe like heavier ears, no matter what. You know what I mean? Like I find that people are willing to believe that maybe I'm smarter than I am, and that everything I'm saying is a part of some sort of like glorious trick that's going to make them look like an idiot. And it'll just be like, I don't know, do you like milkshakes? You know, and they'll be like, what's up with this milkshake play? And it's just like, it's like, no, there's no milkshake play. I'm actually just hanging out, you know, it's just a normal time, you know?
Right, yeah. I mean, I feel like I could ask something as simple as, how many commodities does your faction have again? And will not forgive me for the next 4 hours of gameplay.
Right.
Yeah, it's rough.
Well, do you have a couple of favorite moments? I know we're kind of talking about how much it's been frustrating, but do you have a couple of favorite moments together that it's created since creating the podcast? And I want 2 separate answers, one from each of you, of favorite moments together.
Do you mean like in game, like because we don't actually play together that much anymore?
Yeah, I forgot, Hunter. You don't even play. Like
no, Matt does. I don't play.
Oh, okay.
I barely play.
Matt doesn't play. Matt retired.
I retired.
Yeah, it could
favorite?
be in game. It could be throughout, like who you've met in the community. I know that you have just recently participated in Gen Con, and you had a you know, that could definitely be a contender. But if there's something that outpaces that in terms of your engagement with the community or with your fans, I'd love to hear it.
Well, so for the most recent finals for our Patreon tournament, EJ, our friend that does a lot of episodes with us, had an idea to put a sofa on like an elevated platform so that we could all sit on a sofa while we commentated the game. And it definitely affected the energy, and some people did notice in a bad way, but I just want to say that was still a really good idea to stream from an elevated couch platform.
For all the viewers who watch that stream, we've gotten a number of YouTube comments that do not like the energy of that finals because it is not professional
or
and
having
not
too much fun
to strategic insights. But that one apparently was for us. Yeah, that was certainly a highlight.
One of them had to be for us. That's the thing I don't understand. Is like just go watch one of the other ones, like or just watch like any game of Twilight Imperium.
That doesn't make any sense.
No, it does make sense. I don't care. You have another finals you could watch. We've done 5 of these things.
Sure.
Like that's how I feel.
If it bothers you,
but anyway,
that
was a special moment. Is that elevated couch platform?
Okay.
I for me it is even though. There's always like strangeness to them. I do still find I shouldn't like say it's only frustrating to play like with our friends because right before COVID, our last what we call holiday spectacular. That's the game where we play with all of our friends because they're all in town for the holidays.
Yeah.
That last one, while shouldn't be recommended by me because that game in particular makes me look like a monster. It was an incredibly fun experience because it was sort of a return to how Twilight Imperium feels with your friends, where it's like, oh my gosh, first time in 6 months, we're finally going to get everybody together to play the game.
Right.
It gets to be like a big show. It feels like the Super Bowl of a game. And that year, we got to put a lot into like the production value of the stream and like getting everything really cool and set up and like having a meal ready and having drink. It just like felt like the proper sort of event that Twilight Imperium is supposed to be.
Right.
And that was a really big high mark, I think, for what we felt like we were capable of doing with like in-person live streams. And it's like, obviously COVID happened like 3 months later, but like what we keep talking about recently is as things have started to settle and maybe we can gather for in-person games with our friends again.
Yeah,
like,
another one might
really
be possible.
wanting to return to that level of pomp and you know everything else. I want to get that level of like thinking about the game way ahead of time. Back into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm planning a game for my group here soon. Which is going to be our first game in like 8 or 9 months, and I'm definitely feeling that. It feels like a holiday spectacular, even if it won't be recorded. So, I absolutely feel that.
Well, it's fun to get to like you're thinking about Twilight Imperium, but you're also like, but who's going to bring spinach dip? Like,
right? Yes, it's turned into
like
that.
That's what TI does. Is you have to prepare all these other elements as well.
Yeah, everyone make a dish and a drink, and it'll be a whole day around the game. Our games last like, I mean, if you're talking round 1 to the end of like the game, it's like 14 hours because it involves breaks and everything. Food and lots of fun. So, well, I have an extremely important question that I want to end sort of the simple question section off with. I actually have to read it off the sheet because it's so important. I want to make sure I get it right. Did you know that in the Alliance game mode, in order to grant your ally access to a planet, you must have a unit on it. I don't know.
Okay, that's new. Hang on.
I knew that.
I need to write that down.
For the record.
Can you say that one more time? Because I'll.
Yeah,
we actually recently did an Alliance episode.
I actually did do it.
I don't know if we may have said that wrong. So let me read that one more time, and I'll make sure we get note of it.
Yeah, and another person was sort of pitching in, and
yeah,
they were saying sort of in a errata way. I'm not sure what that means, but they were calling that. In the Alliance game mode, you actually have to have units on a planet to grant your ally access to them. I'm sorry.
I'm on the underline. Got it. Alliance units planets. That's what this says. So, wow. Thank you, and thanks to your audience for those very important strategic notes.
No, they're really helpful.
That is actually greatly appreciated.
Good.
I wanted to say something about that episode, actually, and this seems like a good time. Because I don't know if Matt cut it out or not, because I don't listen to the show. But I mean, honestly, how could I listen to the show? The show's so long every week. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's prepping the episode, then recording it, and then it coming out. That in and of itself, the prepping, recording, and if I listen to it, would be like a solid 10 hours every single week. But anyways, I did, when that got brought up, I swear I was like, no, Matt, I think you have to have like a unit on the planet. And then I think you cut that out. And then...
So he's sabotaging it.
I cut out Hunter correcting me.
Because we normally cut that out, right? Like we wouldn't leave in just us being like, I'm pretty sure that's wrong, and then like us looking it up or whatever. But we didn't look it up, and Matt was so confident, and I didn't really care. So I was like, I think we were probably playing it wrong. Also, it's Alliance mode, so who knows? Who knows or cares?
Who cares? Yeah.
It might as well, be the way you explained it. No, I could not stop laughing when I was listening to that part. Okay, so imagine you're playing with not your friends, not the people you've met along the way, but a completely new player that has not played anything more complex than Monopoly. How would you explain this game from a basic standpoint to them?
I want Hunter to do this one first.
I mean... Well, first I'd like kind of ask them over and over if they really want to play this game. Like, you know what I mean? It'd be kind of about talking them out of it, if possible. But if they were like really adamant, they were like, "No, I want to do this." I'd probably just tell them that it was like Monopoly Risk, basically. Okay. I'd say like, you already know how to play Monopoly. You probably know how to play Risk, or maybe if you don't, I don't know. Then I don't know what I do.
Let's assume.
But I just feel like Monopoly Risk in space is like, that's all I got, basically.
What parts and I could
just be like, listen, there's a great podcast you could listen to, but I don't have any like, I don't have a good way to sell you on this. In fact, I'm not sold on it. So you know what I mean? Like, it'll be hard for me to convince anyone else to do it.
You can go to the podcast for all sorts of mechanics, and if you need like a guide on a specific faction, maybe check out YouTube.
Check out Cardboard Crash Course. Was the question how to teach the game or how to entice someone into playing it?
Well, obviously you've already enticed them into playing, and now you're about to start teaching.
And we're about to play.
Yep.
So my real answer, because I am the one who always teaches the game.
Yeah, I don't teach people.
My main method these days is I teach everything via the strategy cards, because the worst part of Twilight Imperium's design is the fact that the very first decision you make in the game is picking one of these 8 cards you have no familiarity with.
Yeah.
So when I do a teach, I use the strategy cards to teach each element of the game, so that as we're learning how the game even gets played, we're learning how the strategy cards contribute to that, so that then when we actually sit down to play, they're like, okay, I know kind of at least thematically what these things are after. So it's like leadership. Well, leadership is about command tokens. Let's talk about what command tokens are and do. And so you use each one of those things. Diplomacy. One of the things that diplomacy does is refresh your planets. What does it mean to exhaust and refresh planets? So like mechanically, I use those as like the guiding principle for every single mechanic, and then anything that doesn't come up from those is like, and we'll get to that if it comes up.
Right.
Yeah.
So
hopefully it'll come up.
So you want to know what relics are? They might not even come up, right?
Yeah, it may not happen, and so who cares? We'll see when we get there.
You might not even get to do that, so why do I need to teach you that?
I don't explain the mechanics of combat until a combat happens.
Yeah, so they won't learn that for several hours.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, we'll see if one even happens at all.
Right. Well,
that's why you can't have a good game your first time, because like, how are you supposed to know to make any individual decision?
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is tough starting out. I remember the first game are two major issues where I remember grabbing Imperial first round of the first game because I just thought that getting objectives would be the best idea. But then also combat, like believing that's an entire like huge part of the game, and really it's more like conquest and politics.
Right.
I try to explain it as less fighting and more conquest, and however you want to go about conquest is up to your discretion there.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So another important one. If you were on an incredibly nice dinner date to your absolute favorite restaurant of all time, 4 stars, fantastic. Which character on the faction sheets would you most want to go on that date with? And this excludes Sol and Caleris for scientific reasons.
Right.
Humans.
Ooh, this is kind of a fun, kind of learning something fun about us.
This includes the lore. This includes, everything about the faction. But it's just the single person you're going on the date with.
The Titans don't even have mouths. So I want to see what happened. You know what I mean? Like, I want to see what happened when the food come. Also, I think it'd be great to be at a nice brunch spot with a giant robot,
Right. And he's like 30 stories tall.
Isn't it? Yeah, aren't they supposed to be like...
He's holding like a normal knife and fork, like, I'm ready.
Mm-hmm. Like a big transformer.
My answer was maybe going to be a Gashly, a Muat, because kind of the same reason. They're an encased ball of hot energy.
Okay.
And I just like the idea that maybe they like open up an easy bake oven and are just like, or like a guy shows up that's like in the bottom of the Titanic, like covered in like coals, like gotta shovel the coal in, and that's like how the Gashly eats. Is like, gotta get this puppy right. There's an iceberg ahead. I think that would be a fun.
And you'd be able to take leftovers home if they come home with you that night.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
It's a perfect little egg to keep everything in.
Okay. Well, I'm so glad I know that about you too. You know what? The most surprising thing is neither of you said Nalu, and I'm very proud of you.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, obviously that's the real answer, though, right? I mean, for everybody, you know what I mean? Like for everybody, you know, for everybody.
So getting away a little bit of from TI in particular, because I know you have to run yourselves ragged talking about that game. What other topic would you cover on your podcast of almost 300 episodes if it wasn't Twilight Imperium, Root, or another game you've covered? If you had to sink that much time into one thing.
So there's a cheating answer. We have a second show that you should check out. It's called Old Gamer's Almanac, and it's where we rank every video game every week at a time. Mm-hmm. That aside, what would we talk about?
Like a board game, though, right? Like it should be a board game. So it should be a board game.
Yeah, let's start with board game.
I think if we had a show where we did like sort of what we've done with Twilight Imperium, with that level of like, we're just going to play this one game over and over,
just digging deep,
and talk about, and dig deep on it over and over. If we just did that periodically with like different board games that had that level of depth that you could come back to and play over and over and feel like there was stuff to still learn about it, I'd be down. Like, honestly, I'm down to do that right now. Like, I think that's kind of like what me and Matt have been thinking about for a while, is like, how do we do this Space Cats Peace Turtles method? I hate calling it a method, but it is a method. We just were like, I guess this is how this should work.
Yeah.
And then we just started doing it. how do we do this with more games? And are there even that many more games you could do it with? We talk about Cosmic Encounter a lot because it's basically impossible to do this method with.
Yeah, that's like the funny answer is we long have thought about what a Cosmic Encounter show could look like because there's no way to. I say this. I assume there's not like a lot of strategic insight you can do. All you can do is talk about like, well, in this instance, one of the 350 available factions was this one, and it's like I don't know what you do with that, but yeah, I think the thing we learned in doing Root was that, and this is very specific also to Root, but the idea with Root was that it was very fun to do the learning of, and to figure out how to become really good at it. And to see other people who were already definitely smarter than us. I mean, it's true of Twilight Imperium, too. There were already people that knew it, but we came in with 4th edition. Everybody was kind of coming in with various different assumptions based on 3rd edition or whatever. But with Root, there was an established community that had their own thoughts. And to get to do episodes where it was like, we're not coming in any way to try to say, like, this is how it is. We're coming in more to say, this is what we've learned so far, and it's what's worked for us or whatever. I really engage with that process of just like sharing the learning curve itself. And so yeah, I'd like to do that with a lot of different games, just to see, you know, as long as we like click with it, Hunter and I's brains both gravitate towards, I want to play that over and over again if it actually clicks with me. That's why we never wanted to do a sort of board game of the week style show, is because that's not how we engage with board games at all.
Right. Well, I feel that exactly. I have obviously a good collection, but it's not as large as I would like it to be if I was doing one a week. It's not a Dice Tower sort of situation.
Right.
And even picking from the ones I already have, I obviously quite like Scythe.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's hard to turn a Euro into a strategy guide, because a lot of the time it is really just there's one right way to do whatever situation you're in. And I found that with a lot of things, so I kind of turned towards Marvel Champions rather, and other living card games, because there's constant changes to the game, and it's more like building of decks and that sort of strategy, similar to Magic, but everyone has the cards. So it was really tough to find something else, and I really haven't found it yet that's exactly like Twilight Imperium. I'd love.
Yeah, I think because we tried Dune before Root, and Dune didn't really click, and that was partially because there was a severe lack of like update to the rules over time. It's like it was a new edition, but it was essentially the same rules that Dune has had since the 70s or whatever. And that we felt that stagnation almost like instantly. And
Dune is kind
like
of a
very
Euro
living game. Dune is like an area control. It's a beast of its own. And
yeah, it's pretty silly actually. It's a little too silly, I think, to be a Euro. It's far from perfect design.
Yeah,
Euros are more fun than that.
Yeah, it's more fun. It's fun.
Okay. But I do think that social aspect plays a big role too, because then there's an interpretive element to all factions versus a like, well, you can clearly see that 2 is more than 1, so 2 is the better. It's like that's not true in Root. That's not true in Twilight Imperium, and I think that's what leads to a game that's really good to sink your teeth into. Is like, these things are up for debate because math only gets you so far.
Right. Well, I love all different types of games, and I try to cover them in like short content, but I really couldn't see. I'm trying to figure out where my audience would like me to go after the faction guides are complete, because I just have a couple more to do, and it does take quite a bit of time to think about it before actually diving into it. And I can imagine that's the same for all of the guides that you're putting out. I use you as a resource, but it takes a lot of time. Well,
it does.
If you took a complete step away from board games as a hobby, what are your other hobbies that you participate in outside of like podcasts and everything? Do you?
Hunter, go ahead. Hunter.
Oh, you want?
Do you have a specific?
I have a child.
Matt has a kid.
I'm a child.
Right,
I have a child.
yeah.
I'm banned from hobbies.
Yeah.
I don't have those anymore.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Everything that I want to be a hobby, the only way I'm able to make it a hobby is if I turn it into a new podcast that could potentially be a job for me. So it's like, if I want to play any video games, I had to turn it into another show. I read books. This isn't like an out yet thing, but me and our friend EJ are trying to do a thing with like kids books. Like we're literally just reading children's books because we're reading children's books to our children. And we're like, I guess that should also be a podcast. I don't know. Is anything not a podcast anymore?
Yeah.
I have like no, I don't know. EJ's teaching me disc golf. EJ is providing me with all of my new hobbies.
Yeah, you have no real
I don't do anything
leisure
else.
time outside of what EJ has provided for you.
Okay, well, disc golf sounds like it's
disc golf a little bit here and there. I'm trying to read more, but mostly I listen to audiobooks. I really like audiobooks. Audiobooks are reading. Everyone should know that. You can listen to audiobooks, and that's cool. Those are my hobbies, I guess. What else? I don't know. Nothing.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, so I have similarly attempted to monetize all of my hobbies as well. But I still try to do a lot of stand-up comedy here in New York. I've been out on the grind, just going to weird places and doing comedy for about 3 minutes, and it takes me 2 hours of my time. But it's great. I love it. Hopefully I'm getting better at comedy. I don't know anymore. Since I moved to New York, I have no idea if I'm getting better at stand-up comedy anymore. I used to know, because you could perform a lot and feel yourself getting better. And now it's not quite like that. So I hope I'm still getting good at that. Outside of stuff I do like for various podcasts, I feel like what I really am about right now is just going to, like, I did this thing earlier this year where in one day I went to like as many movie theaters as I could in one day.
Okay.
And I'm trying to do that with, like tacos. I'm trying to do that with arcades and various places. So I'm like kind of right now I would say my hobby is trying to find out the everything of this category in New York. So New York City is my place where I live is my hobby.
Like all people in New York City, somehow the city becomes a character in their lives.
Well, because when you live in New York City, it's sort of like you live in the internet, where you'll just be like, someone will mention anything and you'll be like, that's probably in here somewhere. They probably do have that somewhere. And then you look it up and you're like, they do have that. I just have to get on the train and go there, do that thing. And then you just start making these lists. I just make lists. That's what I do. I just make lists of stuff, and then I one day I'll just check them all off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mostly listing though, just lots of lists.
Well, I wasn't expecting anything grand, but that's a lot more interesting than I thought that would be. That's good to hear.
Hunter's interesting hobbies make up for my lack thereof.
You have a child, and Molly is pretty interesting. Molly's a pretty interesting kid, so there you go.
Yeah, my hobby is talking about poopy diapers, and it's a really fun hobby. It's what I get up to usually.
Molly's funny. She used to eat dog food. I loved it. I thought it was great. You couldn't look away from her because she'd eat dog food, which is cool. I guess she liked it. I don't know.
See, but what's your next step in monetizing that? Talking about poopy diapers.
Yeah,
how do I monetize my daughter? Let's talk about the ethics of being I'm going to be an influencer with their kid. That
Instagram dad.
Ryan's world.
Oh my god.
Talk dad.
Yeah. Well,
Bluey watch a podcast. Watch along with Bluey. Anyway, sorry.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a little break in the interview. We're about to jump into a quiz section where Matt and Hunter test their skills to see who is the more knowledgeable person when it comes to Twilight Imperium and win a couple of prizes. I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching again. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you aren't subscribed, as I believe 90% of you are not subscribed to the channel. I really appreciate it, and let's go right back into the video. So, just a quick word from this video's sponsor. It's me, my Patreon. I didn't actually have a sponsor, though. If you haven't checked out the Cardboard Crash Course Patreon, it's how I'm able to produce these videos. I absolutely love my patrons at the moment. You get all sorts of exclusive benefits, including discount and stuff like this. And we actually are doing a patron giveaway right at the moment for a copy of Twilight Inscription. So that's a perfect thing to check out if you're on the fence about grabbing it or not. And we do those all the time. So yeah, they can attest to it being a shrunk down version of Twilight Imperium. Sort of, kind of, not really, but it's fun all the same. But if you guys would like to I'd like to open the floor to you guys asking me any questions that you'd like to before we jump into our part 2 of today.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, so in lieu of you talking about Patreon and stuff, video production is hard, and Hunter and I don't do a lot of it. We do streams, but I would say that's a specifically different category than video production. So first off, definitely do his Patreon, because video production is tough and costly and hard, and you need every cent you can get. But so on that topic, I'm curious just kind of how you feel about the process, and how do you tackle a guide from your perspective? Because Hunter and I's perspective is like, we write it and then we just sort of we have like a loose outline, but then we just start talking, and that's sort of the reason the format of the podcast is like episodes are 2 hours long, is because we find lots of tangents. But a prepared video is not something Hunter and I do very much of. So I'm just curious how you tackle a faction guide in a video context. It's actually not as hard as I always think it's going to be when I first sit down to do it. Cool. I'm planning it out. I've got it's very easy to do the first half of it because it's the component overview for any players who aren't used to the faction. So I kind of just read that off, cut it together. But the actual analysis portion, I only plan for so much when I'm talking, and a lot of the time I will have my Discord channel in front of me for anybody who has been discussing the faction, any other points of view I haven't heard in the past, and then I will take what I've learned from my previous games playing the faction, whether that be in person or TTS or whatever, and sort of just list down the 3 things: the faction like components and overviewing them and how to utilize them together like a well-oiled machine, the tech path I believe you should go down, and then the general idea of the strategy cards that most like integrate into that machine. And I usually try to focus on those 3 aspects because that's the most important, I think, for a new player to understand. And I only really go into very specific situations that the faction might encounter if I honestly can't fill the time with anything else. Something like the Sardak Nor is a very bare bones faction in terms of like its actual text on the cards and everything. So you have to talk more about how they're fixing themselves and how they're getting out of certain situations. But something like the Nomad, where you're really just doubling down on turn this thing into a banking system, is a lot easier on paper. So I kind of approach every one of them differently, and but I try to focus on those 3 things before going into it. That's great.
I was going to ask, are there any factions that you feel like you struggled with more? Because in writing these guides, I find them the factions are not created equal as far as like how challenging it is. Like honestly, like when it comes to like Jolnar, it's honestly sort of like what you were just saying, is like there's some factions where it's like you really have to like think a lot about what the strategic implications of this very basic idea is, and then with Jolnar it's just like, okay, well here's every tech and like here's what they do, and a lot of them are good, and you're gonna have a bunch of them, so like use them, like there's not a whole lot of individual stuff. Like I don't feel the need to necessarily like play 5 or 10 games as Jolnar in order to like talk about how to play them.
Right.
But with some factions, like I have played a lot of games and felt like I didn't have it,
Right.
like, and I'm just wondering if you've had a similar experience with anybody.
So I am notoriously bad, and I notoriously don't like the Sardak Nor, and that's kind of why I referenced them just a minute ago. But that's funny. I can't control them. I have to go into the game thinking that I have to fix a broken machine. And unfortunately, it kind of came across that way in the faction guide. I still focused on what I wanted new players to know about them and what they can do to get out of that pit. But I did make it very clear that it's not, a fight faction. It's not you are better than everybody at battling and winning combat. So I would say, the Sardak Nor, and then a little bit for the same reason the Arborek was tough, just because they're not on paper the strongest, and you kind of have to get them out of a pit.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, they have advantages that don't go with the
don't do anything.
Objectives. They have advantages that are
it's
this is
wonderful.
Cool. What does this have to do with the game, though?
Right. I have so many more infantry than everyone else, but it's not helping me do anything.
It's a shame that's not how the victory points are measured,
Win as many combats as possible.
Nacho cheese dip, but
sadly, there's
be the life of the party.
There's not a nacho victory point objective out there, so.
Well, funny story. One of the first games that my group of players played was actually with POK. We were only able to get a few games of the base game in before I started playing POK, and that's why my guides only focus on Prophecy of Kings integrated with everything. So three players. One chose Sardak Nor, one chose Empyrean, and one chose the Arborek, all for their first races. And I had to kind of just be like, okay, the Jolnar at the other side of the table, they're just going to be better than you. I'm sorry, basically, right away.
This time, they're just going to win. Let's all enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
So, just don't get too mad about your faction being objectively worse, unfortunately.
Right. True. That's true. Yeah, especially with new players where, it's not always going to be obvious for a new player what they should do with their time in the game, which is, I think, kind of the most difficult thing about teaching it. So then somebody like Jolnar is going to be like, oh, I guess I scored that point. They're going to be like, oh, that point got scored. That's cool.
Yeah.
Whereas other players are going to be like, oh, it's point score time. Oh, how come I didn't get any points? You know, I don't understand why I didn't get any points. And Jolnar is going to be like, yeah. So I got that, I guess.
It's always come down to one player, and he knows exactly who he is, and he's definitely listening to this. He's been on the channel before, who's struggling to get the very basic mechanics of the game down when it's time to score, and he'll be grabbing technology, round 6, and I really just need gravity drive, and we're like, what for? And he's like, I don't know. I want the frontier token. I'm gambling at this point.
Right.
So
kind of assigning their own objectives there.
Yeah.
That's a way to do it,
Well, it's hard to make faction guides when some of the players just want to gamble on the frontier deck.
Yeah.
Well, before we jump into this last part, where can we find you, and how can my viewers help you both out?
Ooh.
Help me out. I need a free babysitter. Most of the time. No. You can find us on any and all podcast apps, pretty much. So Space Cats, Peace, Turtles. You can also search that on YouTube. We also have a Twitch. What else do we have? We have a website. You could go to that website.
We have a website.
Yes.
Website sucks. I made the website. I didn't do a great job, and now the website's just been sitting there for a long time. We need somebody to fix the website. So that's something. So go to the website and get some ideas, see what you can do, and then email us. We'll talk about a price.
Well, one of my people in the Cardboard Crash Course Discord worked on the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, so maybe he's got some graphic design.
Maybe, yeah, graphic design, web design. Send them over.
I used to work in movies, so I wished your friend all the best. I'm really sorry for them. I'm sorry.
Good luck working in movies. I've heard that sucks.
It sucks. It sucks a lot. So best to you. Hats off to you.
Especially,
what does your friend do? But Matt, what does your friend do in movies?
Yeah. What's the job?
Yeah. I don't know him in person. But he works specifically on the computer graphics after effects.
Oh yeah.
And he most recently did the Guardians of the Galaxy holiday special, which is just so many particle effects with the snow being added and everything. So
and especially recent Marvel is it's an 8-part series. You got 3 weeks. I especially wish your friend the best. He should they should push for a union, is what I would say. Hey, visual effects people, unionize. Everyone else in the film industry's already done it.
I know, it's really weird. Anyways, but as far as places you can find us, you can follow me on Instagram if you want. I like to post pictures of plates of food at restaurants after I've already eaten all the food. So I'm at Hungry Hunty if you want to see content like that. I do not post anything Twilight Imperium related. And I will not. Don't expect me to. But if you want to see dirty dishes and restaurants tagged, it's like I tag what I want to do is I want to go eat at what's that guy's name? The chef, Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, I want to go eat at one of Gordon Ramsay's restaurants and then take pictures of dirty plates and tag them. And then just see. I mean, he's not gonna do anything. He doesn't care. But maybe he'll yell at me, and then I'll be. I just want him to yell at me one time. You know?
Give me one yell.
I just feel like everybody should get yelled at by Gordon Ramsay once.
We also have a video game podcast I mentioned earlier. Old Gamers Almanac. That's our podcast apps. And I don't know when this video will come out, but my friend EJ and I are trying to do a podcast called Just Dads Reading Books. And you can check that out at some point.
Yeah,
I don't know when, but keep an eye out for it. If you're a parent, I would say. If you're not a parent, it will not appeal to you. I love to make shows that I talk everyone out of listening to. Basically.
Oh yeah, that's important because it you seem more honest, I don't like when people tell me that I'll like something, but if somebody tells me I will not like something, I'll be like, they're probably right, it just seems more there's a lot of stuff out there. What you like of it is like a sliver of all this stuff. I'm on a podcast not with Matt called Read It and Weep, which is about it's a movie podcast where every week we watch a movie that had an actor that was in the last movie, like 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon style, except for it's different people picking. Anyways, it's like a weird game, and there's like points and stuff, and it doesn't really make sense, and it actually hasn't worked out that well. But you can listen to it; it's pretty fun. Me and some other some comedian friends of mine, and it's great. Good show.
Okay, perfect. Well, I'd love to turn everyone I can your way because you've been a part of the community for so long, and I'm sure they would appreciate your content. So that's a main reason why I wanted to have you on the Crash Course as well. So it is great to have you.
This was really fun.
So finally, do you hear that? Wait, do you hear that? The bell? No? Oh, that's because I added in After Effects. So editing Ethan, thank you very much. It's time for rapid fire Twilight Imperium trivia. So I've got 11 questions.
It's so hard.
I've got 11 questions for the two of you. And they're going to go from easier to harder. And it's going to involve what you have in front of you. So you may need to test your skills a little bit, read through a few things. You might learn something about Twilight Imperium, and there's a prize waiting for whoever gets the most points by getting questions right first.
You ask them, and then at the same time we answer?
Oh my
god.
First.
So you'll have to let me know when you know the answer, and then answer correctly. Okay. And if you get it wrong, then the other person gets as much time as they need to answer. But if you get it right, then you get the point.
That's the worst. Okay.
We get a category, like
I think the category is Twilight Imperium.
Oh, dang.
It's like Twilight Imperium 500. No.
Oh no.
I gotta get a way to actually keep track of the score. But I wanted to see how much you knew. I know you're not lore fanatics, but a couple of these
Surprisingly
do
little.
Yeah.
Get ready.
Oh, it's going to be lore based? You want me to get these faction sheets out of here?
A couple of them will be.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Actually,
yeah, I don't know.
a lot of them will be.
I'm ready.
All right, I got my faction.
Ready, dude.
Okay. I'm going to start off with the easiest one, and this one's extremely straightforward. I'm going to say the question and then go, and then as soon as you know the answer, let me know. What are the L1Z1X's starting units?
Two Super Dread 1.
No, what? I buzzed in.
5 infantry, 1 space dock, 3 PDS, and then 3 fighters. And there's a PDS, yeah, and 1 carrier, obviously. Oh wait, I said 2 dreadnoughts. I meant 1.
No,
you lose.
No, that was wrong. They only start with how many?
1 dreadnought, 1 carrier, 3 fighters, 5 infantry, 1 space dock, 1 PDS, neural
all of
motivator, and
it.
plasma
I just
scoring.
got one thing wrong. Matt literally just copied my answer because I told him.
No, I have it right here. I just had it ready.
I don't know if I have all my.
Okay, here's what I need to know. Is it should we have buzzer noises? Ding, 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 ding.
Yes.
I'm doing buzzer noises, Hunter.
All right, buzzer noise. Yeah, buzzer noise,
right.
bell noise, something. That one does go to you, Matt, because you unfortunately it was so close. I'm so sorry.
I'm so good at
I
trivia.
believe I said 2 dreads.
They would be so
Why would they start
much
with
better.
2 dreads? That's like so crazy. That's so good. Like, I think I was trying to be slick and say super dreadnoughts, but they weren't regular dreadnoughts, and then I don't know. Anyways, go ahead.
All right, question 2. What are the official names for the 4 technology types that most may refer to by their color?
Ding. Propulsion, biotic. That's it. No, that's all I got. All right, give it to Matt.
I get as much time as I want, apparently. All right, dang.
It's not industrial and warfare because that would be pretty boring.
You're so close. Cybernetic.
Cybernetic. It is
Cybernetic.
warfare. Yes,
warfare
but
and biotic.
It's cybernetic.
Yeah.
Cybernetic,
Oh, really? Red is warfare? That's boring.
Yeah.
It is boring. I know, and what's strange to me is that Inscription did not follow those 4. It's like the industrial is yellow instead, and yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where you're probably picking that up. Question 3, I'll give you a second, Matt, but
I'm ready.
all right. In the lore, which faction is the Nalu's neighbor that they have a secret relationship with?
Ding, ding, ding.
Yes.
Mentak?
No.
Okay. Well, I gotta catch up here, so.
Oh! I knew it! Okay. It has to do with their first expansion, who they came packaged with.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In TI1.
Oh, Isarl.
Yes.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yep. It says they have a.
I got my expansions backwards. It's L1 and Mentak, and then it's Nalu and.
Exactly. They have a special connection to the guild leader, and that's how they have their telepathic abilities. Is actually from the Isarl's trade ships that they send out.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're not magically telepathic.
I'm already getting roasted by Absol somewhere. You're gonna have Absol in your comments being like, Matt, I trained you better than this.
All right. So we're 2 for 1 right now. On number 4, on the action card Plague, which faction is depicted doing the plaguing?
I guess I could ding and then get out plague, so I'll ding and get out plague. Actually, no, I want to guess. Who is doing the plaguing? As in,
in the lore of it.
Is it Soul doing the plaguing?
It would make sense to be Soul, but is actually the opposite of what I thought it would be.
Okay. Well,
I think it's.
I'm gonna set a time limit on.
Yeah. Here we go. I'll get it real fast. I just have documents.
It's
things. Where are you? There it is. It's the Latani. Yeah, okay, it's Arborek. I almost said Arborek for plague, kind of biotic warfare. Look,
the Latani dipped a mossy limb beneath the surface of the reservoir, feeling the flow of the particles within, shifting them, changing them into something different, something dangerous.
What's happening?
Huh? That's just off the dome.
Okay.
Any sort of like waxing about things Latani.
I absolutely would have thought it was Soul from
the
name and from their lore and everything. All right. One of the final lore questions for a moment. What is the population living on the space station Sumerian?
Dang. I got it right. Oh, wait. No. Do I not have it in this stack?
You don't have it there?
I don't have it in this stack. Are you serious? Do I have those? Here, wait. If I don't see it in 2 seconds, I'll just concede it.
But
it's just right here.
You know what planet the Sumerian rotates?
Yes. He definitely does.
Okay.
Nope, I don't have it in this stack. It's in the other stack. I concede the point to Matt.
Okay.
If Matt, you have
he would find it if he had the stack. He would know
it's. I have the other factions in somewhere else.
Yeah.
Here, I'll go
Nomad, 167 million.
Okay. I actually thought that was going to be a lot tougher.
That one's easier for me because in Twilight Imperium 3rd edition, Arcturus was an actual planet on the game board, and it was attached to Sumerian, the trade station.
Yeah, and Sumerian was...
Stations. It was very easy to remember those two.
Because it was such a cool... The trade station was such a cool rule for TI3.
Right, very memorable. I know of the trade stations, but I started with TI4, so that's unfortunate.
They're less cool in actuality than you get into. As most things TI3, the idea is cooler than the execution.
All right, what is the starting technology for the Council Colaris?
Ding.
Okay.
Any two of the other star players in the game. Any two techs that other people in your current active game.
That's incorrect, Matt. It's actually gravity drive if it's available, and then I guess a yellow. Like it could be Sarween, it could be predictive, it could be Scanlink, but those are the only options. That was wrong. I get a point.
Hunter gets that one.
Actually getting it correct. Matt took the easy way, but he did not really understand the full depth of the question.
It was more of a rich trick question.
Yeah, it was a trick question, and I recognized that right away. And Matt foolishly was like reading off the exact text.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna give 0.5 to either of you. No. All right. Question number 6, 7, I don't know, something. What two races canonically live on the planet Loki?
Canonically live on Loki?
Yeah. I'm nowhere near my planet cards, I'll tell you that much.
This was also a important part of the Rex game.
Okay, I'll ding and say that if it's Rex, let's go ahead. Well, I mean, we're just doing a guess here. Okay. Let's guess Letnev and Isarl.
You're half right.
Ooh.
Cold and racked with violent storms, Loki still hosts several Isarl and human colonies which have engaged in escalating shadow conflicts.
Boring, but yes, it is human, specifically the soul.
It's what a wonderful game we have where every time human is the answer, it's so disappointing.
Yeah.
All right. This is actually question 7. What 3 requirements are needed to be considered eliminated?
You can't control any planets, you can't be able to produce units, and you can't have any infantry, right? So no space docks, no planets, no infantry. That's what I'm saying.
Almost. It's
actually ground forces.
Ground forces. Okay,
ground
forces. Yes.
I'll give him that one.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I did say I thought I said ground forces at first, and then I switched it to infantry.
I'm so used to saying infantry too. Like people will be like, "What about mechs?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, you're new as a POK." That's right.
Yeah. They're included.
Yeah. They're included. They're just big infantry.
As a follow-up, considering those rules, which faction cannot be eliminated?
At the start of the game.
Oh, ding. Polaris can't be eliminated.
Correct. They cannot be eliminated. Why?
Yeah.
If they get their tech or just period?
I think
If they get their tech. It's the
with Council of Vigilia, they can't.
Right. So, yeah, they are the only faction in any way to not be able to lose those three things. Which I'm curious to know if that was an oversight on the part of creation.
No, it's been brought up.
Okay.
Dane knows about it. I know that Dane knows about it. I just don't think Dane cares.
It's not that big of a deal. It's just...
Yeah.
Dane often will, the answer to most things will be like, hey, did you know this? He'll go, oh, I didn't. Oh, that's still cool. I like it.
I wish that's how I got to create games of this caliber.
That's good flavor. That's good flavor. I like it.
That's good flavor, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they do. Uh-huh. This is a hard one. What's Darian's wife's name, and what disease did she contract?
Ding. Greyfire mutagen.
Okay.
And her name is, oh my god. Is it Does it start with an M? Am I in the right direction?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
Moyin?
Nice.
I like them yin.
Yes.
I like them yin folks.
See, I wrote hints next to all of these, thinking that they might be a little tougher than they are, but you know what? Next time.
You started with ones that you said were the easiest, and I think those are the ones we struggled with the most.
Yeah.
Are your first ones. We fail to understand the basic things, and then we have random memories of deeper knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Up to the last couple, what does the binary code on the back of the necro sheet mean?
I don't remember what.
It just says die over and over and over again.
Okay.
Die.
Yes.
Yes. I'm feeling good about myself now.
Oh, I feel... Yeah.
This is what Matt really needs.
I'll never win a game of this board game, but
he'll never
win
play again.
I've looked up the binary.
Yeah.
He has looked up the binary.
I think they have binary on the front of their sheet too. If I'm not mistaken.
I don't know what it says.
Yeah, I wrote it down in the faction guide somewhere. I don't know. All right, final question. Who in lore found the Dynamis core?
I don't know.
Dynamis core.
Found it?
I'll ding and just take a guess. I'm gonna guess that who found the Dynamis core was, I want to say Hakan or Nomad, so I think I'll go with Hakan.
It's unfortunate. No, it is not.
I almost got it.
So I gotta look up Codex 1.
Or you could just say Nomad.
I could just say Nomad.
I mean, Nomad? I think it's... Oh, I have code... Oh, you know what's so sad? I have Codex 1 right here.
If you find it before, I'll still give you the point.
I won't find it. It's not. It's Codex 2, ain't it? Yeah, it's Codex 2.
Oh, it's Codex 2?
And I don't have that near me. So we both lose that one.
Mm-hmm.
If it ain't Nomad.
I have Codex 2 right here.
Okay.
I have it here, but I don't have it open.
If you got it. It is...
You just gotta unwrap it. No. You don't have it.
So, in the process of finding this final question of who found the Dynamis core, I would like to let you know, unfortunately, Matt did win, but...
Unfortunately, Matt won. Oh,
no.
His favoritism. Just kidding.
You're both getting a piece of Cardboard Crash Course merch for participating.
What?
And
heck yeah.
Matt, y'all just need your shirt size. Hunter, you're gonna get a couple of stickers and other small goodies.
What the heck? That rules, dude.
Heck
yeah. To be
that's super fun.
Part of this.
It's the Nazroka.
It is. Specifically,
Dark and Ty stood
Ty.
mesmerized by the swirling mass. Neither had any idea what it was, but both were fairly sure they were about. I've read this before on like a stream or something. I've definitely uttered those words.
Yeah, it's kind of random, but I was looking for.
It makes sense.
Yeah, I was looking for different things from different components, see how much you remembered, and sort of test yourself.
I have a trivia question for you.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Who is the established leadership of the Savages of Simia? Official art by Scott Schomburg. Fan faction. You've been listening since 2018. You might actually know this. Developed by a big-time fan.
Yeah, I've heard this before. As soon as I saw it, I was like, I remember this art. I have no idea. Who's the established leadership?
It is the Jada Pake. It is Jada Pake.
Okay.
Disparaged Yin Brotherhood Jada Pake.
Okay. See, I remember.
That guy.
I remember it was some sort of okay. That's
a throwback for a lot of people.
How many years ago was that?
Well, it was before POK because this faction was the joke
Without
of the Savages of Simia is they're robot. They are robot gorillas because in the very bad, very old Twilight Imperium RPG, there is some artwork in it that was just bought. Was not even like specifically designed for Twilight Imperium, and it's just got a robot gorilla in it for some reason, and Christian T. Peterson is like on record being like, that's not canon. Those aren't real. So Jada Pake hired the official artist of Twilight Imperium to draft up a thing, and he made this whole faction sheet, made a whole faction in base game of the Savages of Simia to become these robot gorillas, and it rules. And we need a POK update. I believe he worked on one at one point, but I don't know that he ever finished and released a POK update.
I want one.
Can we find the PDF for that for free, or is he selling it?
It's definitely on Reddit. It was back in Reddit days. So Savages of CYM. I just put it away.
CYMEA, right?
CYMIEA.
IEA.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. You know what? Maybe after the faction guides are done, maybe I'll start doing guides on homebrew. Homebrew factions.
I don't recommend it. There's a lot.
I know. Every time I go on the Reddit, I'm like, "Holy cow!" I want to read all of them because it's so cool to see fan content. But,
there's good ones.
Yeah.
My favorite one is there's someone who made the little sort of gnomes from Fraggle Rock.
Okay.
The people who make the stuff the Fraggles eat, they made that into a faction, and that's my all-time favorite Twilight Imperium fan faction.
That's great.
Hilarious.
I saw one that was, and my audience is going to have to remind me because I've brought it up before, but I saw one that was like they left behind void tokens, and then like other people weren't able to like enter that void like for a certain like number of turns. I don't know. I found it to be like incredibly balanced. Yeah, of all the factions that I've seen.
That's rare.
Yeah, I know. I look for like actual balance in them, and that was pretty impressive. Well, that is all I have for today. I'd love to just remind everybody that I have a Discord server for the Cardboard Crash Course that you can come in, check out. We buy, sell, trade games in there. We are doing multiple giveaways. There's actually a free giveaway going on as well as the patron ones, so you can participate in that no matter who you are. So if you'd like to come and discuss or just subscribe and leave a comment below, I absolutely appreciate all of that. And thanks, Hunter and Matt in the comments as well for being a part of this show because I just appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Thanks for having us. This was great fun. Yeah, this is awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Super cool.
Well, you both have a great rest of your day. Pax Magnifica, Bellum Gloriosum.
All right.
Thank you once again to Matt and Hunter for joining in and taking the time out of their day for this. On the screen, you're going to see on the top left a link to my Patreon to help out the channel. The bottom left is going to be the most recommended video to you as YouTube thinks, and the bottom right is more Twilight Imperium from the channel. Thanks so much for checking us out. Click one of those links if you want to try more, and I really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.